Every year, the lineup of new all-electric cars continues to get more capable, bigger, and efficient. In 2022, a slew of pure electric models are set to debut from traditional automakers to startups. With SUVs and crossovers by far the most popular vehicles in America, it's not surprising that there's a long list of forthcoming electric entrants in that format. Now, let's discover the most exciting electric crossovers hitting the US streets in 2022. Plus, find out why 2022 is the year EVs are going to sell in record numbers and potentially how you can own one for less than the invoice price. Before we begin, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Subaru Solterra. The Solterra is Subaru's first ever electric vehicle. It combines a two-motor electric powertrain to form a symmetrical all-wheel drive system and offers 8.3 inches of ground clearance for weekend adventurers wanting to venture down dirt trails. The combined output of the motors is 215 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque, and the automaker estimates the range to be more than 220 miles. Subaru says the battery can be charged to 80% capacity in less than an hour using DC fast charging in public places. The company teamed up with Toyota to co-develop the platform for this electric crossover, which is also planned to underpin other future models. Subaru hasn't announced the pricing for the 2023 Solterra, but it is expected to be between $37,000 and $45,000 based on the trim, and expected to hit the dealerships in 2022. Mercedes-Benz EQB. Mercedes-Benz is preparing an onslaught of new electric SUVs and sedans over the next few years. But if any of its models are going to sell in real numbers, it won't be the $100,000 EQS sedan or the undoubtedly more expensive electric G-Wagon. The EQB, though, has a real shot. The company's first electric SUV for the US, the EQB SUV, will check a lot of boxes for a lot of people. It'll have seating for 7, a smallish footprint, and a more approachable starting price somewhere around $50,000. When it goes on sale in 2022, the EQB will be offered in two variants, EQB 300 4MATIC and EQB 350 4MATIC. Both are powered by a 66.5 kWh battery and two electric motors, and as their names suggest, both have all-wheel drive. When hooked up to a DC fast charger, the EQBs can go from a 10% to 80% state of charge in 31 minutes. And Mercedes-Benz estimates a driving range of about 260 miles, though that's using the notoriously optimistic European WLTP test cycle. Hyundai Ioniq 5. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 is a new all-electric hatchback light compact crossover to come out in 2022. Customers will be able to select a single-motor, rear-drive version with 225 horsepower or a two-motor all-wheel drive variant with 320 horsepower. Hyundai targets the rear-drive model having a range of 300 miles. The all-wheel drive SE and SEL trims cut the estimated distance to 269 miles. And the limited all-wheel drive trim should go 244 miles on a charge. With 800 volts of operating voltage, the Ioniq 5 has the same type of advanced electrical architecture as the Audi e-tron GT and Porsche Taycan. However, as it stands, its battery has a smaller usable capacity. The Ioniq's pack supplies 77.4 kWh and can be charged from 10 to 80% in around 18 minutes when plugged into a DC fast charger. The Korean automaker is partnering with Electrify America to provide 2 years of complimentary access to the largest public fast charging network in the US. BMW iX. The iX is BMW's new electric flagship SUV, designed from scratch and a showcase for the automaker's latest tech. It's nothing like any BMW we've seen before, with its massive grille, squared-off steering wheel, and wraparound floating touchscreen. According to the carmaker, the iX will have 516 horsepower and employ two motors to give it all-wheel drive capability, and it will sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds. The iX sports a large 111.5 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack that BMW says will offer around 300 miles of driving range per charge. DC fast charging capability will be standard, and the iX can recharge from 10 to 80% in just 35 minutes when hooked up to a 200 kilowatt connection. BMW has partnered with EVgo to provide a network of public charging stations for the iX drivers, but the SUV will be able to charge on other popular networks as well as through a Level 2 home charging station. The iX is roughly the same size as the current X5 and starts at $84,000 with standard all-wheel drive. BMW's all-electric crossover should go on sale in early 2022. Cadillac Lyriq. The Cadillac Lyriq showcases next-generation styling for the brand and introduces a new modular electric platform along with an Ultium scalable battery architecture. It's roughly the length and width of the Cadillac XT6 crossover, but the Lyriq has a much different profile, being 6 inches lower in height and riding on a wheelbase that's 9 inches longer. The dominant feature in the cabin is a curved 33-inch LED display that stretches from the instrument panel all the way to where the infotainment screen is traditionally placed. The initial Lyriq is a 340 horsepower rear-drive model with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery, a combination that the automaker estimates is good for at least 300 miles of range. GM claims it is capable of 76 miles of range in about 10 minutes in DC fast charging stations, and the company plans to streamline the charging experience for its owners through a collaboration with 7 charging networks that will open up app-based charging at nearly 60,000 charging connectors in the US and Canada. Production starts in early 2022 at the Spring Hill, Tennessee facility, and the all-electric SUV is expected to hit dealerships in the summer with a base price of $60,000. It'll compete directly with the Tesla Model Y, Jaguar I-Pace, and Audi e-tron. Before we move on to the next vehicle, appreciate if you can hit the like button and help YouTube to push this video to many other viewers like you. Kia EV6. The Kia EV6 is built on the Hyundai Motor Group's Electric Global modular platform and thus shares much of its hardware with Hyundai's Ioniq 5. This 5-passenger crossover has already started to roll out globally, but it doesn't officially arrive in the States until early next year. In the US, the compact crossover will initially arrive in 3 flavors. There are 2 rear-wheel drive variants, one with a 58 kilowatt-hour battery making 167 horsepower, and one with a 77.4 kilowatt-hour long-range pack good for 218 horsepower. Finally, the all-wheel drive version combines the big battery with dual motors for a total of 313 horsepower. Range hasn't been announced for the specific configurations, but Kia states up to 300-mile targeted range depending on trim selected. The even more powerful EV6 GT lineup will arrive later next year. That bad boy will have 576 horsepower and a 0 to 60 mile/hour time of just 3.5 seconds. A neat feature on Kia and Hyundai's eGMP platform is bidirectional power, which means it is capable of powering other equipment or serving as an emergency power source for your home. Nissan Ariya. Nissan has finally released specs and prices for the upcoming Ariya model in the US market, as well as has opened the reservation books. It's the long-awaited new electric crossover from Nissan, and first customer deliveries are expected in fall 2022. Nissan says there will be 4 variants of the Ariya in the US. The Venture Plus trim offers up to 300 miles of driving range per charge. The Evolve Plus and Premier models offer up to 285 miles per charge, and the top-spec Platinum Plus is supposedly good for up to 265. All trims in the US are equipped with the same 87 kilowatt-hour usable battery pack. The Ariya will be capable of charging at home on 110 or 240 volt outlets, as well as at public charging stations and even DC fast charging ports. It has a starting price of $46,000 for the Venture Plus trim, and the price goes all the way up to $59,000 for the Platinum Plus trim. For the first 10,000 reservation holders, Nissan has prepared a 2-year free EVgo membership plus $500 in charging credits upon purchase. Genesis GV60. The GV60 is the first of Genesis electric SUV and shares its EGM platform with the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. While its underpinnings aren't bespoke, it does feel different enough from its more affordable siblings to justify its more premium price tag. Inside the GV60's cabin looks decidedly premium, with a large monolithic display screen serving as both gauge cluster and infotainment system. It uses cameras instead of traditional wing mirrors. These cameras send live images through two screens in the cabin, and they appear to work very well. 3 different powertrains will be offered, starting with a rear-wheel drive setup that consists of one 225-horsepower electric motor and graduating to an all-wheel drive arrangement with dual motors making a combined 314 horsepower. A performance model will also be offered with 2 motors, standard all-wheel drive, and a combined horsepower rating of 429. Genesis claims that top model will be capable of hitting 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds. The base rear-wheel drive GV60 will offer the most driving range per charge at an estimated 280 miles. Going with all-wheel drive drops the range estimate to 249 miles per charge, and if you want the performance model, the range for that one is claimed at 229 miles. All versions come with the same 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Genesis says US deliveries are expected to start sometime in 2022. We expect a starting price around $55,000. Rivian R1S. Rivian is an American EV startup that is ready for the big time. The company just had a massive IPO and already backed by Amazon, Ford, and Cox Automotive. The Rivian R1S SUV will be the second Rivian to hit the market, following the R1T truck. It's promising to be a particularly adventurous premium SUV with an all-electric powertrain with up to 4 motors. It boasts a stylish exterior, high-tech interior, and astounding capabilities that will make the R1S one of the most competitive SUVs on the market. Rivian will eventually offer 2 different battery packs on the R1S, but the launch edition comes with a 135 kilowatt-hour pack. Rivian says this pack should deliver around 316 miles of driving range. A larger 180 kilowatt-hour battery pack will be available as an option starting late 2022, and it will come with a claimed driving range of about 400 miles. Just like Tesla's supercharging network, Rivian is building its own DC fast charging stations called Rivian Adventure Network. It will be capable of adding up to 140 miles of range in 20 minutes for R1 vehicles. These chargers will connect cities along popular routes across the US and Canada and will extend into more remote off-road destinations. Toyota BZ4X. The Toyota BZ4X electric SUV was designed alongside the Subaru Solterra and built on a shared platform. Sized much like a Venza, the BZ4X comes in 2 powertrain configurations. The front drive version uses a single 201 horsepower motor and has a 71.4 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, good for an estimated 250-mile range. The all-wheel drive version uses 2 motors with a combined 215 horsepower output and a 72.8 kilowatt-hour battery. As with other EVs, having the large battery pack under the floor lowers the center of gravity and should contribute to handling agility. The BZ4X will be the first Toyota to feature the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, adding more sophisticated functions to the already comprehensive 2.5 suite. Toyota's all-electric BZ4X is expected to hit Toyota showrooms in mid-2022 with an estimated starting price of $37,000. At the time of making this video, the US Senate and the House are working on the Build Back Better bill, which includes up to $12,500 in a refundable credit for qualifying EVs. If this bill gets signed in the current format, it can significantly increase the EV sales in the US in the forthcoming year. But we have to see how that plays out. Now, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you soon with another informative video.